And we'll turn it over to you, Vic. Maybe you can give a few comments about how spring's gone so far and what your group looks like.
Right, so we're getting into the second week of spring. We've had 2 tackle full padded practices, which really is only on the defensive side. We count that as actual practice. You know, we play in shorts, we play in upper shoulder pads, but really when you're grading people and you're grading players, it matters when you can tackle. So we're learning a lot about the guys in our room. But before anything, I want to wish Jamar Sakona happy birthday. It's his birthday today, one of our guys. But a lot of guys have stepped up. A lot of guys are getting opportunities to show what they can do and really position themselves for fall camp when you can, you know, carve out a role in our defense. We're moving guys around all over the place. You know, I think some of you guys were at practice yesterday or on Monday or Tuesday. And, you know, as you saw Jamar Sakona dropping out into coverage, we're seeing who can be versatile and who can, you know, go out and get a job, who's hungry enough to go out and fight for a job and get the opportunity to represent the Trojans on Saturday. So a lot of guys are all over the place. A lot of guys are doing things that they haven't done in the past, and it's all by design to see who can do what's what. And with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Okay, thank you, Vic. Again, raise your hand if you have a question for either Vic or Tuli. We'll start with Ryan Karchi.
Hey, Vic, where did Tully impress you the most, especially just coming out of the gate as a freshman?
I think where Tully impressed me the most is I'm a big first impression guy. And my first impression of Tully was when we didn't know if we were going to have a season last year, and he was the first one to every workout and training session. And that speaks volumes to, 1, your priorities, and then 2, the type of person you are and how you're built mentally, right? And waking up and getting here. They had the D-line and the O-line go really early. So it was something you had to be ready for, to wake up knowing you're not going to have a season, and then train. And then once we did have a season, nothing changed. He showed up, came to work, you know, put his pads on and just worked. And that's, I think, one where it started to be impressive. But what's more impressive now is he's a young guy, and I put a lot on his shoulders as far as being a leader and doing it in his own way. And he's been impressive as far as the development of, you know, who he is as a player, but also who he is as a teammate. So, yeah, it started back in September when we were allowed to do actual training, and then it's continuing to this day. And I think it'll continue for as long as, you know, we know each other.
And what's the next step as you see it in terms of his development this spring and heading into the fall?
Right. More production on the field, obviously, and being more consistent in how he holds other players. Once you become a great player, right, on the field, the best players make everybody else around him better. And that's something that he has to learn. Everybody in our room, everybody on our team has to understand that once you become the guy, it's how you become a legend is when you bring everybody else around you, make everybody else around you better in your own way. And his brother was different. His brother was a leader, but, you know, didn't speak a bunch. But everybody knew, you know, Marlon's going to do what Marlon has to do for the team and go out there and play at a certain level. So for me, it was making sure that Tully, and I think he knows this, is allowing him to be himself and allowing him to lead the way he wants to lead. But that would be the next step is to be a leader that brings everyone else up to your level as far as mindset and training, all the things that are off the field, right? That good leaders do, player leaders, right? So yeah, I think that's the next step, and being consistent on the field.
Okay, we'll go to Adam Grossbart.
Tuli, you guys lost a lot of experience along the defensive line since last season. Just what type of responsibility do you feel like that puts on you going into this next year?
Um, I don't know. Just everybody, everybody just like we're all learning like right now. Like we we played a lot like last year, but we didn't really get to like truly understand what our job was as a team, as a D line. So like this spring ball is really helping us like develop every single player and like to do our job and just to produce on the field.
What are some areas that you see yourself learning in already this spring?
Some stuff that I'm trying to improve on, just getting strong in the weight room. But like truly, I just need to work on everything, like everything that like technique, footwork, everything. I need to get better. So yeah.
Okay, Antonio Rouse.
Hey, Tuli, I noticed you dropping into coverage a bit on Tuesday. Is that an area you had much experience with before this spring?
Yeah, we did a little bit of dropping last year, but I feel more comfortable doing it now because yeah, I'm finally starting to understand the coverages and like what I got to do in certain coverages, so I feel comfortable dropping.
And Vic, uh, what have you seen from Jacob Lichtenstein this spring? I know he opted out last season and came back about midway. What have you noticed from him this spring?
Yeah, Jake's done a really good job in the weight room. I think first and foremost, he enjoys weight training. And so as a coach, you see pictures in the off season where he's, by the beach and has his shirt off and he's ripped up and big old muscles, man. And for me, it was, let's see what happens when we put the pads on. And credit to Jake, he's got a very a very physical mindset to how he goes about things in the weight room. And it's carried over to the field where, when we're not in pads, he's still striking like we're in pads, which I love. And so he's been doing a really good job. It's been nice to see him out there and going through everything, playing the run and then getting after the quarterback. But there's a lot there that we got to, work through and get better. But what he's done with his body, this off season and his mindset has helped me as a coach to push him and to get him better.
Okay, excuse me, Ryan Young.
Good morning, Vic.
Morning.
We've heard T.O. and Clay both praise Jamar Sakona already this camp. What has been the transformation you've seen with him, and what is his outlook for carving out a role in the rotation?
Right. I think one, he was in shape, and I tell the guys all the time, the sign of a good defense is when little guys like to hit and the big dudes run. And so he came in shape and he was, killing all the workouts, winter workouts, and put himself in a great, position to get a lot of opportunities. And now what his role will be in the fall is still, up in the air, and it's still something that's being worked on daily. But he positioned himself in the best way that he could with these winter workouts and coming in shape. So Jamar's done a great job as well. Loves to compete, and I'm excited to see what happens.
How much rotation do you want to see up front, ideally?
Ideally, it'd be great to have, a full two deep that rotates. But if you saw last year, I'm not afraid to play guys that just go out there and play and can play the whole game, like Marlon. Marlon played a ton of snaps, and he even played on third down, when usually he would get taken out. But if guys are playing, if Tully can play 90 plays at a high level and be productive, then he's going to play 90 plays at a high level and be productive. So who that is still up in the air, and who carves out a role, for themselves in the fall is still yet to be seen. But a lot of guys have come in ready to work and ready to learn.
Let's go to Mark Culkin.
Good morning, gentlemen. Tuli, in the past, we've been able to hear Coach Vic talk about, the game and how violent it is and having a passion for violence. when you're listening to him talk, and without giving away any of his, trade secrets, what are some of the things he does to get you guys motivated during practice?
One thing I really like when he coaches is like making us compete with each other. Like it just really pushes us to work harder, and like just seeing other people work hard makes you want to work hard. So we love to compete.
And then, Coach, you're talking about some of the younger players carving out a role. Can you talk about Jay Toya, or is it too soon to bring up his name?
No, absolutely. I think Jay just like everybody else, and kind of to Tuli's point, everybody knows that there's open spots, and everybody knows that how you do when we have full pads on is going to directly correlate to how many snaps you get in the fall. And so Jay is just like any other, true freshman mid-year, is understanding the playbook and figuring out how to be a college student and how to play at a high level with a coach that demands a lot. And he's been doing a great job. Again, another kid that has a lot to work on, but doesn't shy away from contact, doesn't shy away from work, shows up every day with a great attitude to, take hard coaching and to get better. So the sky's the limit for Jay. And we'll see what happens, obviously, throughout these next few months. But the way he comes ready to work is the same thing that Tuli has, right? Just a passion for football, and I can work with that.
And then just a real quick follow-up. You had mentioned trying to see how pissed off you could get Brandon Peely. Were you successful on Tuesday?
Yeah, got him pissed off. Now I got to teach him technique. So mindset first, and then everything else after, right? But yeah, we're excited. Excited he was back out there and got to go through a full practice, and now it's next practice, and so on.
Let's jump to Ryan Abraham.
Morning, guys. Vic, Todd Orlando talked about not really having opportunity to change the culture of the team because you didn't have spring practice, and when fall camp rolls around, you're really just getting ready for games. It's 4 practices in, a couple of full pads. Have you felt like you can kind of start building the culture that you want to with your guys?
Absolutely. I think not having the spring ball and being a new staff, there's a lot of different challenges, but one of them being, who is this guy? You don't really get to know your players to the depth that a spring, season has and allows you to have. So I'm getting to know these players more. They're getting to understand my expectations, where there isn't a game we're preparing for on Saturday. And I think the culture aspect of it, you can actually dive deep into and not worry about running out of time before we get into, who our opponent is and making sure that we have them ready for formations or whatever, right? And so a lot of my time speaking to them is about development, is about your job on the defensive line. Which, Tuli, what's your job on the defensive line?
To establish the violent physical nature of football through relentless effort, both immovable and unstoppable. We do not chase, we hunt.
And that's what we're doing now, is we get out there to go hunt. And I'm looking for guys that are hungry. And when they show up, they know that they're going to get the same thing from their coach. But at the end of the day, the culture of being the right type of Trojan, like the culture of leaving the field knowing that the guy across from you feels way worse than you do, is what we're doing now.
And then Tuli, real quick, just what's it like? I mean, you're in a unique position. You don't have your brother there anymore, and one of the leaders on the defense. Like, what's it like practicing with him not around?
I feel no difference. Everybody on my D line is my brother, so we're still family over here.
Okay, Ryan Karchi.
Hey Vic, I know Drake hasn't been able to get out there as much in spring practice, but what's the hope in terms of the next step of his development?
Pretty much the same as everybody else. We hope that he can produce consistently, get to know our defense better, get to know our coaches better. But then you want to see him obviously take a jump to where he understands defense. He understands why we're calling different things. And it's not about his job anymore. It's about what am I seeing in front of me and how can I make an impact within my role. And a lot of what we've done in the offseason with Drake is just helping him understand the situations he's going to be in and how to be productive. And then he's another guy that I think sky's the limit, and a lot of pressure is being put on him as far as I'm this big name, and kind of the same thing that's going to happen with Corey. But my conversations with him are, doesn't matter what your job is on defense. The best thing about it is you can go out and make your plays. You don't got to hope an O-line blocks and hope a quarterback sees you to get the ball. You go out there and hunt and do it the right way, then you can get your job done and achieve the dreams that he came here to achieve.
And you mentioned Corey. In terms of his, obviously huge expectations, how far does it put him behind the eight ball that he's not able to kind of get that culture education during spring, or just kind of have that extra time like the other guys have?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. Just because you don't have those practices and building the camaraderie, but it's not anything that we can't, overcome and we don't talk about often, right? So my job is to get them caught up, and I'm pretty damn good at that. So we'll be ready to go in fall camp.
Okay, let's go back to Adam Grossbart.
Vic, you talk about like just being able to establish, the cultural things this spring that you weren't able to do last year. How do you expect those type of developments to translate once the games start in the fall?
Right. I think culture translates when it's hard. Anytime they hit adversity, which you hit adversity a lot during the fall, but I think your culture is shown when your back's against the wall, or someone goes down and someone else has to step up, to where there isn't a fall off, there isn't a drop in production or technique or fundamental or effort. And so this spring, I think, will pay dividends, in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season, or in the middle and towards the end of games. I really think that's when your culture shines, is when you hit adversity as a team.
Were there any moments last season, now that you look back on it, where it's like we really could have used spring camp?
I think the entire season. I think not only culturally, but technique and fundamentals and installing a brand new defense. I think spring ball would have done wonders for us, but we didn't have it. So looking back, you can say we should have, could have, would have, but last season was last season, and now we're preparing for the next one.
Okay, let's go to RJ Abatia. Did I say that right?
Abadia. It was close enough.
Abatia. Okay, there you go.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering about your early impressions going up against the Trojan offensive line so far in spring, and how those guys look relative to last season.
Yeah, relative to last season, there's a lot of the same guys. We lose ABT, but it's very competitive, right? It's a great O-line to go up against, because we talk a lot of trash back and forth in the weight room and stuff like that, and it's fun. I love those guys. I think they're going to take a jump. I think Clay's doing a great job with them and what he's installing as far as the run game and pass protection. I think it's going to help our team, and it's helping us get better. Seeing that type of stuff.
And then I'm wondering if Tully has any individual shout outs he wants to give on the offensive line, just guys who are impressing him at this point.
I think everybody's doing pretty good right now.
Thanks.
Okay, Ryan Young.
Vic, going back to Corey, have you made a firm decision on what role he's going to play? Is it going to be more like the role that Drake plays or more like the role that Tuli plays?
Drake's going to be a hunter. He's going to go hunt the ball. Wherever the ball is, we're going to go send him there and go get it. So if the quarterback's got it, he's going to hunt the quarterback. Running back's got it, he's going to hunt the running back, just like every one of our D linemen. And we're going to put him in positions to go and make impacts.
So it doesn't matter if he's hand in the ground or if he's standing up to the side of the line?
No, see ball, get ball. He's going to go get the ball.
And then with Brandon Peely, obviously he's been around for a while. What's the thing he has to show you to be one of those mainstay guys that you talk about who plays a lot of snaps?
I think it's, back to what we were talking earlier, just consistency. Consistency in production and on the field, and consistency and great technique and fundamentals, just like everybody else. And honestly, he's the one that you look at the roster and say this guy should be it. So there's a lot of guys vying for a spot and to fill what Martin left behind, but I would say he has the best opportunity just by age alone and experience. So with him, it's showing that he can do it day in and day out and fighting off guys that really want to play.
Thank you.
Yep.
Eric McKinney?
Tully, going back to last year, can you recall, was there sort of a moment or time or anything that happened where it kind of clicked for you and you thought, hey, I have a really good shot to get out there and I can compete at this level?
The first day I came in, I felt like I could compete with anybody, and I just wanted an opportunity to show what I got. And I'm glad Coach gave me the opportunity to play Reservoir Arizona, because that was the first time I got to show what I got, and it just went on from there.
And then Vic, I feel like we've talked about kind of everybody else. A couple names, DeJean Benton and Kobe Pepe. Again, kind of early in spring, but what have you seen from them?
Yeah, again, both those guys have done some really nice things. Day changed his body just like Jamar changed his body, and he's come in with a new attitude. He's running around. He's doing what he's great at, which is being really twitchy and fast. And then Kobe has continued from last year with competing to get that starting spot. So Jamar has been running with the ones, but Kobe's right behind him, and they're competing. Like, that's what I love to see, is they compete in everything. So those guys have done a really nice job.
Okay, Mark, I know you had a question, but we've got to let these guys go. Vic, Tuli, thank you very much for joining us. Great job today. To the media, a reminder that Coach Helton will join us 8 a.m. on Saturday morning on Zoom. And then the Saturday practice starting at 11:25 is open to the media. We'll see you at the swim stadium there. So with that, everybody have a great day. And again, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Fight on.